Hello farmers and aspiring farmers, thank you for tuning into yet another informative edition of your program. This is Agricultural New Directions, Agribusiness in support of Vision 2030. Today I am coming to you from Midlands at Pricabe Farm, where the first family is undertaking various agricultural ventures in support of Vision 2030. They are leading from the front when we are looking at issues surrounding poverty alleviation, eradication of hunger, sustainable production and responsible consumption. Now, in episodes prior to this one, we're looking at the Inyambo breed with His Excellency, who was explaining to us in terms of his acquisition and the adaptability of the Ankole breed to the Zimbabwean environment. Now, in this very episode, we are going to be looking at the Bonsmara breed. I understand that at this farm, they have a big head with various breeds within it. But in this very episode, we want to look at the Bonsmara breed. To discuss this, and more, I've taken the liberty of inviting Vicky. She is here at Pricabe Farm. She is an expert in livestock production. Vicky, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Wadzi, and welcome to Pricabe Farm.
Yes, as we get into our discussion, Vicky, I would like for starters to congratulate you. You are a lady working within the livestock industry, which is male dominated, but you took it upon yourself to also contribute to issues in our economy, which we are looking at supporting Vision 2030. How do we get there? It is also through women empowerment and women participation in agriculture. Thank you so much for that.
All right, thank you, Watson.
Now, can you talk to us in terms of the head that you have here at Pricabe Farm? I understand that you have various breeds within that head. What are we looking at in terms of figures and breeds?
Okay, so in terms of figures that we have, our total head is 2,240. Yes, and in terms of the breed, we have a lot of breeds. We have the Ankole, which is the Inyambo breed. We have the Bonsmara breed, which is right behind us. We have the Brahman breed, which has the red and the white Brahman. We have Tuli breed. We have Friesland breed. These are all the breeds that we have here. We also have our own Mashona breed as well.
Okay, thank you so much, Vicky, for that. Just a brief synopsis of this episode. The anchor of this episode is about Bonsmara production. A brief background of the Bonsmara breed, how you acquired it, just your observations and sentiments in terms of this breed.
Okay, so the Bonsmara breed, if you look at its origin, it originates from South Africa. Yes, so we had to bring it into Zimbabwe. And it's doing quite well. The reason why we actually chose the Bonsmara also in terms of our production here at Pricabe Farm, it's because of its nurturing ability. It does nurtures its cows very well, and we barely have mortalities when it comes to the Bonsmara breed, and also its adaptability to the environment. You can see our temperatures here are very high compared to where it originates from, but it's doing quite well, it's adapting well, and even in terms of meat quality, because at the end of the day, all the steers that we have and the non-productive cattle, we also use them, we slaughter them for our butchery, so the quality of the meat is also excellent. That's why we have the Bonsmara at Pricabe Farm.
Pavashanti wenyu, what are those skills that you look at, or those attributes or character ya munhu yamunoti uyu anoita kuti aswere nemombe? Muchishona kune tsumo inoti totenda dzamwa mombe dzaswera nebenzi. Of course, there are certain skills that you look at when you are saying that this person uyu anoita kuswera nemabhonsmara edu.
Okay, so when we are looking at the employees that we say these people are the ones that we are assigning to be with this particular breed. So firstly, what we do, we have our cattle which we subdivide into groups so that we have manageable groups, right? So we put one person per 50 head of livestock. And if it's 100, that means it's 2 people that will be head in that particular department. So you have to be someone who is also very patient, because with our cattle, they like to graze quite a lot, and so we need someone who is also very patient and is very nurturing as well, because some people they throw stones, which is very bad. Some people they'll be actually beating the animals, but we have created a very good environment, friendly, where even if you touch the cattle, the bulls, they are very friendly. They can stand and be
enjoy
nice.
the carers from the human hands.
Exactly.
I also want us to look at issues surrounding general management of the breed. Muchimuka kuseni chichnoitika.
Thank you, Wadza. So what we do by 6:30, we would already started our work every day, which all of us enjoy very much. So what we do, we as the leader, we move paddock by paddock, just inspecting to see in the morning if in case there is any that gave birth. So if, let's say, I will share, if there is any that gave birth, we need to inject the calf with multivitamin injection. We also need to put dehorning paste. As you can see, all of them, they do not have horns.
Yes.
This is one of the activities that we would have done at birth stage.
Okay.
And we also dip the navel in iodine solution to make sure there is no any other infectious disease that can pass on. So these are the procedures that we do, and we check in the morning. We also even check in case there is any that is not feeling well.
Yes.
For urgent treatment, because if you prolong longer in terms of any sickness or disease, then that's when you end up having mortalities, because the disease would have reached a certain stage. So every morning we check if we see any symptoms, because we look at the saliva that will be dropping off. We also look at the nature of the feathers. If they are standing a bit, then you can tell that this animal is not feeling well. We also we walk around them in the morning and we inspect if there is any that is walking slowly or not even wanting to walk. Then we tell that this is not feeling well. And so these are other routines that we do check in the morning. Yes. When we wake up.
Thank you so much, Vicky, for such a detailed presentation. On that note, viewers, we've come to the end of the first segment. We're going to go on a short commercial break. We'll be right back with this and more in the second segment. Stay tuned. Thank you, Zimbabwe, for staying tuned to Agricultural New Directions, Agribusiness, in support of Vision 2030. This is where we discuss everything agriculture here in Zimbabwe. Today, we are looking at Bonsmara production, aligning it to our vision in Zimbabwe of becoming an upper middle class economy. And we do have here the first family at Pricabe Farm who are leading from the front with various breeds that they do have here. And as such, we are going to be looking at the Bonsmara production as a case study. Now, viewers, we encourage you to be a part of this conversation. Feel free to get in touch with the producer Wadzanai Manyore on 0772-807-506. Alternatively, you can like our Facebook page, Agribusiness with Wadzanai. Make a follow-up on this episode and more. I understand that we do have viewers from outside Zimbabwe who are interested in livestock production. Our YouTube channel is Agribusiness with Wadzanai. We are also now available on X, formerly known as Twitter, where most of these discussions do take place. It's at Agribusiness 110. Vicky, we are here in the second segment. Welcome back.
Thank you, Wadza.
Now, earlier on from the break, Vicky, you were talking to us in terms of the signs and symptoms. Some of them you see Maxen Pamunomuka. You see maybe the cattle is lazy, or the fare is maybe yakamira, but maybe just doesn't look happy. Can you take us further down that area of the signs and symptoms that you see kuti mombe iri kurwara, and also the chemicals that you know by heart? When we are talking of cattle production, when we are talking of Bonsmara, chemical yakati inorapa chakati, matics tinorapira nezvakati. What are those? Take us through those.
Thank you, Wadza. So in terms of diseases, so it's on a case-by-case basis. Each disease has got its own symptoms. There are some symptoms which are visual, that we can see direct with our eyes. Then there are some symptoms that will be within, that we are also not able to see. So some of the symptoms, it can be watery diarrhea. Yes, so you would have a cattle that does have diarrhea, of which is watery, because the usual dung, it's supposed to be a bit thicker.
Yes.
And in shape. So if you see the dung is too watery, then it means there's some disease within that particular cattle. And then the standing on of feathers. If you see, even if you look at all our cattle, you see how nicely, because it's this type of breed, the feather is also be down. But if you see that the feather is up,
they are
it means,
erected.
yes, they'll be erect. Means there is something wrong with that particular cattle. And then other symptoms can be watery eyes. Yes. So you see your heifer or your cow, it's got some watery eyes. Then it also need to be checked. And some will actually be having some saliva that will be dripping off the mouth. It means it has some sort of disease also that has to be looked at. And some of the cattle, they'll actually refuse to eat. They will not have the appetite to eat. Then you would know that there's something wrong with that particular cattle, even when it's walking. To be walking slowly
with
then
no appetite.
Yes, with no appetite. So these are just the general symptoms that you can see, but like I explained, they are on a case to case. Some which will be within inside that you're not really able to see within your particular eyes. But what we do is we take our cattle randomly. We do blood tests with the veterinary officers. They do come, we take some blood samples. We just see randomly if our cattle are okay, so that we don't have any mortalities.
Okay, now Vicky, in terms of chemicals, I understand that there are diseases that are specific to the Bonsmara breed, but as we can see, just looking with our naked eye, the fur, the hide is shiny, is glossy, it is a beautiful brown skin, meaning that they are well taken care of.
Exactly.
Can you talk to us in terms of the insect pests and diseases that are menaced specifically to the Bonsmara breed, and also the chemicals that you know that you use to ensure that murukurapira zvirwere izvozvo?
Okay, thank you so much. So in terms of diseases, we barely have any that's really sick.
Yes.
And if there is any, like we said, we look at earlier symptoms and treat them. So maybe 1 or 2 diseases that we have, we usually use like, and when I'm explaining, I'm not trying to say to our viewers they should exactly use the same chemicals and drugs that I'm saying, but it's on a case-by-case basis based on what their vet would have advised them. So, but we do have general within our medical kit, high-tet. There's high-tet 120 and 200, which is short-acting and long-acting. We also, maybe in case there is any other disease which is related to ticks, we have your Pheniject. We also have the multivitamin drugs in case it does not have the appetite.
Okay, thank you so much, Vicky. Looking at your feeding regimen, I can tell from where we are standing that you have clear water flowing through the canal, meaning that your cattle have access to clean water. Exactly. Talk to us in terms of the importance of having clean water in cattle production, the feed supplements that you incorporate, and other things that you make sure kuti nyama mombe dzakanuna dzine nyama yakanaka.
Okay, so it is very fundamental to have clean water for our cattle. Why? It reduces the rate of diseases that can also affect your cattle, because there are some that are waterborne. So, and also because of that algae that does in our water ponds and water troughs. So firstly we clean our water troughs within a period of 2 weeks at maximum. To make sure we take out all the water, we drain, we clean them, and then we put fresh clean water. Why? It's also good for them to have clean water. So it does minimize in terms of diseases occurrences. And then in terms of just keeping our cattle in such a shape, I mentioned on our previous episode the issue of dipping, which is also very, very critical. And we also, in terms of dipping, we change every dip that we do, we make sure you also put clean water, the rightful amount for that particular chemical that we'll be using.
Yes, in terms of feeds now, Vicky, trikuenda muchando, meaning kuti masora ya mamwe acha akutooma. Can you talk to us in terms of the feeding regimen, the supplements, frequency of feeding, even pawataura nyaya dipping, frequency of dipping? Do you dip monthly, twice a month? What is it like for you?
Okay, so in terms of dipping here, we have spray race. Yes, so we put 1,200 liters of water. And the amount of the dip that you use depends on the manufacturer. Some it can be 1.2 liters, some it can be 1.5 liters. It depends on the manufacturer's details.
Okay.
And we only use that water for just one group of cattle. When we want to dip some other cattle, we make sure we change and put new fresh water. So dipping is very, very critical because it can cause a lot of diseases, tick-borne diseases, like you're talking of your heartwort, ETCS, those kind of diseases. If you do not dip your cattle very well, they are very bad and they can actually cause mortalities within your cattle. And then in terms of feed, like currently they are grazing within the pastures, but you can also see that we are limited in terms of the rains that we are receiving. The seasons are a bit different from the previous ones, so our pastures are running dry very, very quickly. So what we are doing, we have already planned ahead, which is also a very critical thing that every other farmer who is into livestock production should also learn to plan ahead depending on the season coming up. We actually growing winter pastures already. We have already started doing land preparation, and we're actually planting the winter pastures tomorrow. And by the time we get to April, where there will be completely no more grass, we are guaranteed of having pastures. Then we also have blocks, vitamin blocks. We have winter and summer blocks that we also give to our cattle to supplement, because when they are grazing like this, the grass have got all the nutrients that the cattle need. So we rarely supplement. But when you're coming to winter now, there's going to be shortages of other nutrients. So that's why we do that. And we also give salt blocks. Okay. So they leak after grazing. They leak. And also we do have urea treated hay, which we did, like our president Munangagwa, in terms of livestock production. There's been a lot of tremendous improvements. So this is one of the projects that the livestock department has been sharing to all our livestock farmers to do. So we do have urea treated hay that even we go for the next year without using it. It will be buried within within the ground. We can always harvest it when the time is ready and give to our cattle.
Thank you so much, Vicky, for such a detailed presentation. On that note, we have come to the end of the second segment. We're going to go on a short commercial break. We'll be right back with this and more in the third and final segment. Stay tuned. Thank you, Zimbabwe, for staying tuned to Agricultural New Directions, Agribusiness in support of Vision 2030. Today we are coming to you from Pricabe Farm, the farm that is being owned by the First family, where they undertake various cropping enterprises, including livestock as well. Today we are looking at the Bonsmara breed, which is one of the breeds that they have amongst their herd. I am joined by Vicky here, who's enlightening us in terms of the chemicals that you use and even the feed that they use to supplement for their Bonsmara production. Vicky, we are here in the third and final segment. Welcome back.
Thank you, Adzan.
Now, there are terms that we use in cattle production. For starters, I want us to look at the bulling season. Can you explain to our audience there at home, what does it mean when we are saying bulling season?
So, mostly some people, they do selective breeding, and some it's open breeding, depending on the nature and the facilities that they have. So, the bulling season usually starts from November, where we start having the rains, until we get to March, April. That's where most of the bulls are introduced to the cows, because the mating will be very high, and because the cows will also be having a lot of pastures to eat, which are palatable and nutritious. So the rate of mating will also be high.
Okay. Now, Vicky, still on the issue of mating, in as much as we do have that in humans, I understand that in cattle, we might also, even in animals in general, we do encounter such scenarios and such circumstances. Talk to us in terms of how you are protecting your Bonsmara herd from such occurrences and diseases.
Okay, so our cattle, they have paddocks according to the breeds. This is the Bonsmara. They stay on their own with the Bonsmara bulls and a bit of Brahman, because we also want to do mixed. So we are actually able to trace the characteristics of the calves that we need. So in terms of that, it means even the rate of them mating with any other cattle from outside the farm, it's new. So one, that's another way we do for controlling. We invested into putting paddocks and fencing where its paddock has got even its own spray race. So even in terms of this paddock, these particular breeds, they only service the cows which are here. And there are also some vaccines that you give just once to your cows, to make sure that the rate of disease, there is no any passing on of diseases, and to minimize the issues of calving losses, where if it's infected, sometimes when the calf is coming out, it can actually die during giving birth or a few days after.
Okay, Vicky, let us look at issues surrounding weaning. Talk to us about the periods of weaning when it comes to this breed.
Okay, so what we do, the usual time when you're weaning is from 9 months and above. That's when, from 9 months, in fact, when a calf get to 9 months, that's when we wean it. But for us here at Pricabe, we also do strategies, because the important thing is we are doing farming as a business.
Yes.
We have to bring in income. At the end, we also have to come up with profits. So we actually currently, if you can see, a lot of our cows have got weaner plates. So we actually weaned our cattle from 6 months. Yes, that means even in terms of our production cycle, the cow now can easily be pregnant. It's shortened. Instead of getting to 9 months, we have shortened our cycle, and we have more cows within a short period of time.
Finally, as we close this segment, Vicky, in terms of milk production, Bonsmara Rakamira say as we close.
Okay, so for us, we are not into milk production. We are into beef. Yes, that's our main line of business. So maybe in terms of profitability, what we do, maybe our costs which we incur within a month, particular month, we make sure we have that written down. And also the sales that we make sure also have that, and at the end of the month we see how much profit we are making. So we really haven't done the milking, but we do milk when we want, and even wodzeko just to have that sour milk when we need, but not really doing in terms of commercial and really know the amount of milk that we can come up with. Because why we minimize on that, we want our cows to grow faster. Remember, we are saying we want to wean them at 6 months. Yes, so we barely take the milk so that our cows can be full within a short period of time. And we also have, and even if we milk them a lot, they can even become thinner, which also affects our mating. Yes. And previously you were talking about the calves, right? We also, like, we did very well the previous season, 2023. Our calving rate, we were at 85%. So we do have a lot of calves that we have weaned, and we performed very well.
Thank you so much, Vicky, for taking your time and telling us and educating our Zimbabwean farmers, even those that are in the diaspora that are looking to come back and invest in livestock production. It was a pleasure having you with us today.
Thank you.
From me, your host was Zanai Manyore, coming to you from Midlands at Pricabe Farm, a farm that is being owned by our first family. We were looking at Bonsmara production. It was a pleasure having you with us today. Follow us on Instagram, it's W Manyore. From me and the crew behind the scenes, thank you for watching.